Welcome back to Bulletproof Mindset, Scotland's #1 health, fitness and entertainment podcast. So in today's episode, we welcome Richard Dickson. Now, some of you guys may know Richard, some of you may not know Richard. If you do know him, I would say Richard was known as the property guy, but has since then evolved and transpired his business into running multiple successful businesses. And personally seen his growth in the last year. It's been remarkable to watch how he's managed to pivot and sort of pivot his message in the social media space as well. Now, one of the biggest things that I believe that Richard has done in the last year is run the Financial Freedom Summit, where he got multiple guest speakers over from all over the world to come here in Scotland and speak about their entrepreneurial journey, and that was a fantastic experience. Richard also runs the Young Entrepreneurs Society Academy and another one called Growth Getters. So there's so much happening, and it was really interesting to sit down with him and pick his brains and find out where his drive comes from, how he has such a solid mindset and outlook to just being super successful. And I think in today's episode, there's a lot to take away. Now, before we get into today's conversation, if you're looking to find out more about maybe some of the things that Richard does, we're going to leave links below where you can have a look and maybe even join the Academy if that's something that you're interested in. And of course, before we get into today's conversation, one of the best ways you can support the show is by leaving a 5-star rating on wherever you choose to listen to this. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and leave a comment below and tell us what you think of today's episode. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Listening back to a couple of your podcasts, I think that's the first one in a wee while that you've done.
First and probably no kicking the arse off a year.
Yeah. And
in fact, I done one with Richard Swan about the Financial Freedom Summit, but that wasn't even so much a podcast. It was just talking about the event.
Kind of talking that. So even in that short space of time, so just as a bit of background, which we'll get into, you've, from what I've seen of you, you've grown as an individual in a short space of the year, going from what your identity was, and I think you're going through a bit of a shift in that, but
Agreed.
Without doing it to death, going way back to the start, like, can you talk us about your journey for the audience that may be tuning into this who don't know who Richard Dickson is?
So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a Z-list celebrity in the G41 postcode. Southside of Glasgow, grew up in Pollock Shields, electrician to trade. So left school, done that. Got 5 hires, could have went to university, decided it wasn't a path for me. Finished my apprenticeship, didn't really like it all that much. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Stumbled upon different content online, guys like Grant Cardone and stuff like that, who you'll probably have watched stuff inside our academy and stuff like that. So that spurred me on to start a business. Meeting Grant Cardone and going to that event allowed me to meet a few key people, guys like Paul McFadden and people who are business partners of mine now, been great friends for years. And that kind of took me almost where I am today, building a property business, being involved in other businesses as well, some that went really well, some that didn't go so well, and thankfully none that were like liquidated or ended in fist flying, which was good, but just good lessons, which is always beneficial. And now at this point, 26, probably about 5 years since that point, having a few good businesses, a pretty cool life, I would say. And yeah, without going over everything in pure, because do you know what I was thinking to myself? I was driving, I was like, oh my God, please don't be like, ask us about what the start of your journey was like, and how did you get in a bit? I was like, can't be asked fucking answering that. Going through it, because all that's what I mean. All that content's kind of online, and of course, I would imagine most people that will end up listening to this will be people that are familiar with yourself anyway and know your journey. Yeah. So, young guy coming out of school, going in, starting, you're looking at your life and you're going, right, I'm going to become a spark. So there's a bit of story there with your relationship with your dad. I'd like for you to kind of go into that a wee bit, because I think I don't think James knows much about you and for the audience. So you're kind of, it's like, so when you're leaving school and you're like, right, what's a good job for me to have? Most people go into trades, particularly guys and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So talk us through like the decision making and that, and then the realisation of this is pretty shit and this is what I want to do. Just to pre-frame it for the audience, right, is that everyone has their own definition of what is a good job, right? So this is not my admission of me saying being a spark isn't a good job, right? Because it can be a great job. Like you can make a really decent, my opinion, decent money as a spark, right? But what is good to me might be amazing to somebody else and vice versa, right? So I done my 5 highers in school, got an A, 3 Bs and a C. I'd started my UCAS thing in 5th year and then I never finished it. I just kind of get caught up doing other stuff and was like, yeah, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. And, you know, every summer holiday, pretty much throughout my whole time in school, I would work with my dad, not for like the whole summer holiday, but I'd go out 2 or 3 days a week, you know, do a bit of labouring and make a little bit extra money and all that kind of stuff. And I enjoyed it at that point because on the few days that I had off during the week, the 4 days, I actually had maybe 60, 70 quid, you know, I used to get paid like 20 quid a day basically, but had different bonuses my dad would pay me for different stuff, right? So I would be like, oh, I can go and get a chips and cheese and I can get this and that. And like I felt a bit of baller sometimes when you just weren't really.
No, it's crazy.
And,
it's crazy.
But it's funny that, so, you know, I went through and I said to my dad, I was just sitting thinking about it in my bedroom and I went and said to my dad, do you think you could get me an apprenticeship? My dad being an electrician and, you know, my dad he has many positives and many flaws like we all do, but the one thing he is fucking excellent at is he is the best spark ever. And by the way, a great dad as well, incredible dad. But taking that out,
a better spark.
Better spark. He's just such a good spark, right? And I said to him, I said, do you think you could get me an apprenticeship? And he was like, I'll ask about. So I'm just expecting my dad to hopefully facilitate me getting a job with someone he knows or someone he used to subcontract with or something like that. My dad was able to get, I can't remember what the funding was called, but he's been able to get it again. Yeah. My younger cousin now, who's just about to do his trade test to become another one of the Richard Dickson electrical
And you're like, don't fucking date me.
But it's funny because one of my best mates for school has worked with my dad for years and he's just about to start his adult apprenticeship now. I think, to jump ahead slightly, me being in business has, I think, motivated my dad a little bit to grow his team and do a bit more and aspire a bit higher. My dad is probably never going to be someone who's got 100 guys working for him. I think the stress would put him in his box, right? But I think it's maybe inspired him a little bit to...
Seen the value, like offloading a bit of work.
100% and
take the foot off the gas.
Doing a bit more and expanding a bit more and seeing, having wider horizons, I think, right? So my dad ended up getting that funded and saying, look, you can start your apprenticeship with me. And I was like... all right, yeah, cool. And that was just how it started. You know, we worked together every single day, basically, for over 4 years. I started my apprenticeship when I was 16.
Right.
It was probably round about this time in 2014.
Roughly,
2013, something like that. 2013, that would have been starting my apprenticeship because I turned 17 about 6 weeks in and my birthday's in a couple of weeks' time. So, that's how it started, you know, working with my dad. And it was, when I think about it now, I was also not a shite employee. I'm a really good spark, right? But I was probably quite tough to work with because, you know, I maybe took for granted some of the things my dad done for me in the sense that because I was still fighting and training, my dad would be like, I would tell my dad, oh, can I please have this day off on pretty much no notice because I want to train, I want to do this. And my dad was always very lenient with that. That's been my only form of employment my whole life. Yeah. So that was all I understood. I didn't know what it was like to have a tyrannical
structure.
gaffer. Do you get what I'm saying? So I probably took for granted a lot of it. And now being an employer and having staff and try to do good by your staff, but also maintain your business and stuff, I think I look back and go, it was actually pretty good to work for my dad. Although we get in some wild arguments.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, it sounds like your relationship was good with your dad being around. So I worked with my stepdad for a short stint in my life as well. And that I look back on it and I was like, we had a good, strong relationship because of that. But going through it, you would never have thought that at the time because of the arguments that you can get into. So did that then lead to the crossroads of you kind of chucking it, or was that because of the content and stuff?
Nah.
You were finding?
Like, me and my dad never had an argument that was bad enough that we like didn't speak to each other or we didn't speak the next day. Now I think it's enough for some people to have done that. Like me and my dad have pulled tools on each other.
Oh, really?
Oh, like 100%. Like on sites, my dad's pulled a hammer out and I've fucking grabbed it, and it's never going to go that far. But we've kind of looked at each other and been like,
we're fucking close, yeah.
But then you just go home and that's it. Like I've grabbed my dad, been screaming at him, telling him I'm going to punch him. Then my dad's grabbed me in the throat and we've like flung each other about a bit. And then we've been like, right, you go and do they 4 sockets, you arsehole. And they just like, we've never let it get to a point where, but also there's been times on sites as an apprentice where, and bear in mind, I worked for my dad and then we subcontracted. So I reported to my dad only. I never worked for anyone else. I've had times where there's been like plumbers on site be like, you're a fucking apprentice, go and do this for me. My dad's been like, you shut your fucking mouth, I'll smash your head in. Like my dad's been like, always. And then there's been times where people have said stuff to my dad, and even if I'm 17, 18, I've been like, mate, I'll hit you with this hammer, like shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we were happy going at it with each other. But you come after my dad, you come after me, and still to this day would be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, that's just the way we are. That's how me and my dad are. But it was never a point where we had an argument that was bad enough that I went, you know what, fuck this, I'm chucking it. But I also cognitively was like, even though it's a very small chance, like this does harm our relationship. Because between the hours at 8 and 4:30, he's my boss. And then after that, he's dad. And I want him just to be my dad. Like I love him as my dad, knows my fucking boss. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, it was a natural progression that, you know, I thought about, oh, I can take part of this business and we can grow it together and all that, but that was never going to work. Yeah. That was never going to work, right? What I've done now in the next couple of years, whether they want it or not, because people forget your parents have autonomy. I sat down with my parents not too long ago and was speaking about how I want to buy them a house and stuff like that and talking about different areas that they maybe want to live in so that I could start looking. And my mum was just like, I like staying where I stay. People forget that. They always say like, oh, if you're so successful, why have you not retired your mum and dad? Maybe they fucking don't want it. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe they just want to do their own shit. My dad will never retire because when he retires, he'll die within 5 years. Like that's, and
my dad's the same.
Do you know what I mean?
He has to keep
physically can't retire, right? Even when it will get to a point where he's just going about doing testing and inspecting and all that, and that will be good for him.
It's the purpose that he's built his life on.
Exactly.
And you see a lot of people who do die after retirement very quickly because of that. They lose their purpose.
100%. So, like doing what I've done now, like I could have built a business with my dad that my dad would not have. My dad works very hard, works very fast, but on the business side, growing the business, it would have been just me, right? Yeah. And I could have built something that paid me pretty well, paid my dad really well. But what I've done now can do a lot more than that.
Like you say, the wider,
you know, but my dad wasn't
horizon.
happy when I left, man. My dad was not. No, because we had an agreement in principle, never written down on paper, that, you know, to pay back for my apprenticeship, because apprentices don't make money. I probably started making my dad money at the end of my second year because I'd worked for years with my dad. I wasn't starting as a new apprentice. I was starting as someone who had quite a bit of experience being like an electrical labourer. And we'd agreed that, you know, after that I worked for, I can't remember what it was 2 or 3 years I worked for my dad before I was able to look at being a subcontractor myself. But that was me. I owed my dad that to pay back for my apprenticeship. And he never got it. Now, if you could have told him this is where I would be now, he'd have been like, oh, fucking go, man, go.
I bet he's not seen that far ahead.
At that point, he's just like, and it was never an argument, and I'm sure he was pissed off in the house, and I'm sure he vented to my mum or whatever. He never said to me, you can't go and do that. But
deep down, you knew.
And I think it hurt him as well. I think it hurt him. But, you know, I had to, it's a temporary pain for a long-term positive. And I think my net position now is much better.
Oh, for sure. So you mentioned something and you said you were out fighting, so you weren't just fighting random people at the weekend either, right?
No.
So for the people who don't know, like you got into martial arts quite young then?
4 years old.
Yeah, so was that influenced by your dad? Was he into that sort of stuff?
No, my dad wasn't. My dad was into fighting, but he wasn't into martial arts. So
just bare knuckle.
Yeah, like my dad's I wouldn't use the word violent because that has like mad like connotations, exactly, right? But we stayed at flats with verandas, so I could be out in the veranda. It's like a balcony that doesn't go out of the building, if that makes sense, right? So I could look at the car park, and there's been situations where like people have been fighting out in the car park, and it's been one of my dad's mates who maybe like would smoke a wee joint with at night time or whatever, and my dad's loyal beyond anything I've ever seen. Like, he would just run out, doesn't know what the fight's about. If he sees anybody he likes getting like piled into, he would just go down and just, and my dad's a fair bit bigger than me, right? I'm not very heavy, and I ruined my natural weight gain by cutting weight for so many years, right? So I'm probably about 76 kilo. My dad's like 6'3", 95, 96 kilo, never trained in his life, right? Big old fucking hands on him. Like, I would leather my dad, right? But I wouldn't want to take a clean punch off him. So my dad, he's loyal as
We'll send this to him, right?
100%.
He says.
Yeah, but my dad's so loyal, do you know what I mean? So, like, it wasn't like he was a violent person. He would never just cause trouble with people, but he was also not a fool. So I never seen my dad take anything off anyone. Like, whether it was a gaffer, like I've seen my dad be on phone calls, people like, fuck you, I'm never coming back, and if I see you, I'm going to fucking slap you about. My dad was never someone who was like, yeah, no problem, I'll get that done. My dad never taught me cowardice.
I stood up for yourself.
My dad is a man's man, right? I've never seen my dad cry until last week.
Oh, really?
And it was my Uncle Bob who worked for Balfour Kilpatrick's until he was in his 60s. He was a spark. Seen my dad, was telling him about a bad boy at the end of school, gave my dad his apprenticeship at 15. My dad was the youngest travelling apprentice in Balfour Kilpatrick's, and at that point, they were the biggest electrical contractor in Europe.
Wow.
My dad was getting into so much shite in Glasgow, they sent him to work in nuclear power stations in England, right, when he was 19, which technically wasn't allowed, but it was back then, so they just sent him down. And Balfour Kilpatrick's alone had like 2,000-3,000 guys on this one power station.
Fucking hell.
So it was easy to blend in, right? And my Uncle Bobby passed away there, and it's funny because my Uncle Bobby gave my dad his apprenticeship, which then gave my dad the ability to give me my apprenticeship, right?
The knock-on effect.
And I think that my dad and my Uncle Bob were so close, right? So I think that was the one, and that's probably not the only time my dad's ever cried. But I didn't look at him and go, oh my God, my dad's crying, that's embarrassing, right? Because I was like, oh, fucking greeting as well, right? But my dad's he's just one of those guys, right? And I guess on the martial arts side of things, it wasn't like I was watching my dad fight people, which has not been hugely often in my life, but it's been more than most people, I would say. But I was just so energetic. I think my mum and dad really struggled to deal with how hyperactive and stuff that I was. So they were like, okay, let's just put him into every sports club, everything, every school club, every after school club. Exactly. And that's why I get put into martial arts was for that and for discipline as well. Not because I was a bad boy, but because I was just a wee nutter. I was just running about going mental. And, getting into martial arts so young helped that.
So Rivals next door, they do that. They start them from young, and I never really understood it, but being the business that operates next door, it's quite interesting to see how they're running the classes. And it's not about this is how you throw a punch, this is how you throw a kick. It's about the discipline aspect, getting into a routine, and that then carries through life, which you probably would look back at, and it starts from the young age of 4 years old.
Oh
which
my
is
God,
crazy.
like it's ridiculous. It teaches you so many things: discipline, self-respect, respect for others, how to defend yourself, like so many different things. And you meet great friends as well. I've still got friends from that same group of kids that started with Sab and Patrick McLaughlin at the Nan Mackay Hall in Pollock Shields, right? And when I see Mr. McLaughlin, I can't call him by his first name. You've seen me here doing it. I'm calling him Mr. McLaughlin, right? When I see him, I'm still like, Mr. McLaughlin, how are you, sir? And all that. And he's like,
so the
Richard,
old army
you're
regiment.
you're like 26, man. You're not a kid. You can call me Pat. And I'll just be like, oh, and I'll maybe say, oh, aye, Pat. And then by the time I'm leaving, I'm like, thanks, Mr. McLaughlin. See you later, sir, and all that. And like, it's just that the respect is just ingrained into you,
So you've done some tremendous things from a young age. I think the first bit of money you made, what age were you? Was it 23?
22, 23, something like that.
No doubt about it, you've done tremendous things. How important do you think having strong role models in your life has played its part to that? Even from a role model, from a sense, it doesn't need to be someone like Paul McFadden, for example, because it sounds like that's evolved throughout your journey, from your martial arts all the way through to your dad's apprenticeship and all these sort of things.
Well, there's things you can take from different people. Like you can take inspiration from people who have never achieved something you're trying to achieve. So my dad has incredible work ethic, right? He works very hard and works to a very high standard. So I can take that and apply it to something that isn't sparking.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So I think there was loads of people that I took inspiration from. My dad and my grandpa too. Like my grandpa growing up, obviously I love my dad and went to the football with my dad, but my dad made a lot of sacrifices when we were young. He continued working in England, so my dad was around the north thing. My dad goes where the money goes. Right, so he's now at a point where he's got a few contracts just outside of Glasgow and stuff that he's fine. My dad would be in England, he would be away up in Aberdeen, he would be anywhere that he could get a good job subcontracting, right? So, and my mum and dad had me very young and then had Saffron 10 months later, right? So they were still young people wanting to live their lives, and my nana and grandpa were so happy. And so just to give you an idea, when I'm saying nana and grandpa, that's my dad's mum and dad.
Right.
And my mum's mum was my granny Gina, who passed when I was maybe 5 years old.
Okay.
And I only met my mum's dad maybe 3 or 4 years ago. In fact, it's probably actually 5 or 6 now, my perception of time. I only ever met him twice, right? So I didn't really have and I still don't really have a relationship with him. And I say that with respect. I'm not saying that in a snidey way. It's just, I never had a grandparent relationship with him, right? So basically, we would get dropped to my nana and grandpa's on a Friday in Helensburgh, or my nana and grandpa would pick us up on a Friday in Pollokshields, and we wouldn't go back until, Sunday night, and mum and dad were at the Archies, and do you know what I mean? Back where they first met. And that's what they were doing. But see, my grandpa was like quite a senior officer in the fire service. And so he was station officer in Paisley, then he moved to Helensburgh and kind of just covered Argyll and Butte and stuff. But he had like a car fitted with sirens. Mm-hmm. So he didn't go in an appliance, in a fire engine, as people would call it. He went in his own car, but he would be on call out at like the maddest time. So my nana and grandpa had like a converted loft roof thing in the house. So my bedroom, if I went to like the glass, like the window, I would see out into like the front car park. And my nana and grandpa both had a Renault Laguna. My grandpa had like a dark blue one. My nana had like a cream coloured one. But my grandpa's one had the siren on it. And it was back in the days of pagers. And I would like go to bed and, I would maybe hear the door getting unlocked, and it could be 3 a.m. My grandpa's going to a fire. And I would just be sitting like watching.
Mesmerised.
And like, he's like pulling on his, and mate, my grandpa's a savage, mate, right? My grandpa's 70, what year is it? 73, right? And he retired very young, like 51, 52, right? And we're talking about retiring, you go and die. My grandpa thrived. He's an absolute machine. He's kept that fitness from being a fire officer forever, right? Like he can still, and it's no mean feat, because I'm not kicking the arse off 80 kilo. My grandpa can still fireman's lift me, no bother, walk me around the house and that. Like I would trust him with my life, no bother. So like, my dad, so hard working, and like going to the football with him and my grandpa, and then seeing my grandpa as a fire officer, and genuinely seeing him as like a superhero, like not seeing him as my grandpa's like I would be in primary school telling people that my grandpa saves people's lives and all that. Do you know what I mean? So like having those role models in your bloodline, having the same name as you, right? That's a big bonus straight away. But then you also like, you have role models or people that you almost never meet. Now I'm lucky, I've met Grant Cardone and stuff like that now, and had like a lunch with him and stuff like that, which is cool. But you can look at people and take inspiration from people who are dead, who you will probably never meet. It's countless, mate. I couldn't actually sit here, but the ones that deserve the most respect are my dad and my grandpa, for sure.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So you're exposed to, early on, you're exposed to all these different sports and martial arts and whatnot. When did you make the switch? Because you fought competitively for a good few years. Like, where did that come from? Was it the rush of it, or is it just natural progression in that world?
Good question. Certainly not fucking money.
I know, which is interesting.
I competed in Taekwondo when I was a kid a lot, and I just wasn't a competitor. Like my sister competed better than me at Taekwondo, right? And she was just more aggressive, had more of an instinct, a streak in her. I hated fighting, mate.
Really?
I hated it. Like when I was a kid, like hated it. Like be times in primary school, people would want to fight me, and I'd be like, no, like I'm not fighting, to the point that if that was my child, I'd be like, you're embarrassing, fuck, punch him, right? Like I hated fighting. And then, training Taekwondo and playing football as well, and golf and every sport you can imagine, cycling, doing any sport, right? I have a massive FOMO when it comes to like clubs and that. I was in every school club, ballet, drama, you name it, I'd done everything, right? So when I got into those kind of teenage years, and I went from, Taekwondo being like for most people, like a point fighting. It's not full contact combat sport. It's not me saying it's easy, or it's not dangerous. I've not seen people get knocked spark out, but it's not a full contact combat sport, right? And then starting training, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with my good friend Kieran Reid, who's actually a few years above me in school. You know, him inviting me down. And, you know, loads of people don't know this, but like training at MMA gyms as a young person or like jiu-jitsu gyms, it can be quite expensive. You're talking 60, 70 quid a month. For a kid in school, I couldn't go and ask mum and dad that. So Kieran messaged me, and I hadn't spoken to him in years because a 4-year age difference when you're like 13, 14 is like huge,
massive,
right? You know?
aye.
So, but now it's nothing.
No,
He's
it's because of the changes in your life. You're at primary, high school,
boom,
and going
right?
different places.
But his girlfriend at the time stayed on the same landing as me at my flats in Pollock-Shields, so I would see Kieran outside of school. So Kieran messaged me and he was like, "Are you into like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?" And I'd just got like a box set of Pride DVDs, but Pride Fighting Championships, not Pride like the marks, right? But Pride Fighting Championships, which was like an MMA promotion in Japan, but you could like soccer kick people in the head, stamp on the head. It was brutal, right? But I got this box set. I was watching it on my PS2, mate, right? That's what I was doing. I was stick it in my PS2 and watch it. So I didn't get the PS3 until a few years after it came out, right? But I was still playing my GameCube and that, and I loved that. It wasn't like a problem. That's what I like playing. But I was watching these DVDs and starting to understand, oh, what's this grappling stuff and all that, but never action that'll go in and do anything. And Kieran just messaged me, do you like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Because I would share MMA stuff on, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, come and meet me. It was Gracie Barra, Glasgow's where I started, right? And I would never recommend a single person to ever train there, right?
Oh, really?
Oh no, it's an
Is it still
absolute,
open to this day?
Yeah.
Is
It's
it?
not the same place, a different place now. But the head coach is just a mad fraud, mate. He's like the worst jiu-jitsu black belt you've ever met, right? He's just and it's pure financial motivation. Like none of these guys really compete because they're all shite and just get cakewalked, right? But we had a little click when we were there. But I'll explain in a second. So I went and I met Kieran there, and Kieran introduced me to the coach, and I'll just not name him out of respect, right? Because I guess I need to be thankful in a way that I got that opportunity.
You learn lessons
I
for
just
everything.
wouldn't recommend anyone to train there, right? So basically they said, like, we need someone to mop the floors, clean the mats, tidy up the weights area, and sign people in at the front desk.
So the Karate Kid.
You won't get paid. You get a free membership. We'll give you a gi. Jiu-Jitsu gis can be expensive, 150, 200 quid, right? So we'll give you a gi, we'll give you your white belt to start off with, and you get a free membership. You can come as early as you want. You can use the weights area. You can train as you please. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. So my day would finish, I would finish in school. I would get the subway into town. This was under Central Station Bridge, but the Broomy not under it like Blue Lagoon and that. You might have seen it. It's got a big the Tasmanian Devil on the shutter. It's across from the Grosvenor Riverboat.
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
So the Taz used to be the Gracie Barra
Right,
logo,
okay,
right?
I know where you are.
So, and Gracie Barra has got like thousands of gyms across the world. So I would get the subway there. I would get into the desk. Anyone coming in, I'd check the memberships on the computer. Have you got a membership? Yeah. Sign people up for the memberships, sort out the trial classes, all that stuff.
Wait, and then this thing?
You're 13 or 14 at this
I'm
point?
like 14, 15, about 15. And then, you know, once everyone kind of signed in and there was like 2 minutes until the class started, I would go and quickly get changed and jump in. Right. And then if there was an advanced class starting there, I would finish my class 5 minutes early to sign in the advanced guys, and I'd jump in. Then I'd be there for when people were signing in till like the end of the night. And at the end of the night, soapy water, mopping the mats, drying them out, people have sat dumbbells about, I'm lifting the dumbbells, moving them, and lifting the plates and moving them.
So you're hustling from a young age here, like you said, you only had that job as a spar, but really that
I guess so, right? So that was me doing that and keeping that going, and I even managed to keep that up through the first bit of my apprenticeship as well. But then we left that gym and went to the grip house. Right. So as I left that gym, I also left that little job thing as well, right? But at that point, I'm like £5 an hour or something, but enough that I could afford my gym membership at the grip house. So that was me for those couple of years. Just
so that not everybody that goes to martial arts ends up competing and fighting and that sort of thing. Where was the attraction for you then, for someone who didn't necessarily like
competition? Is natural for most men, I think. Everyone has a competitive outlet, whether it is you want to be, and it might be for women as well. I can only speak on a first-hand basis, right? But you'll have competition in the workplace, whether it be you want a promotion before someone else or whether it's an athletic thing. And by the way, it's something that I chronically struggle with to this day, not having a physical competitive outlet.
Yeah.
Like I find it like really hard in my life because I can go and play golf and, you know, it's whatever, but fighting is the pinnacle of competition. And I also accept it's this quid pro quo, right? Where I have no competitive physical outlet, but I'm also not willing to do the work to be good enough to compete. I can't train once or twice a week because people start sweeping me and hitting me and tapping me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not liking this.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to train hard enough to keep that level, right? And by the way, the sport evolves so fast. Like it evolves so fast. So
do you mean like competitiveness or like technique or?
The actual meta of the sport, it changes, right? So I'm only doing jiu-jitsu at this point, only grappling, and you know, start competing a little bit, and I'm going to Lisbon and I'm going to Paris and I'm going down to London and doing all the Scottish regional competitions, and we're all doing really well. And then I stop competing in the gi and I'm only competing no gi, and then I'm enjoying no gi, and then I'm like, you know what? I spent so many years doing Taekwondo, and why don't I try training with the MMA guys? And then you just hit it off with the MMA guys, and the next thing it's like, you're looking pretty good, you fancy fighting? Yeah, fuck it. And then that's it. Do you know what I mean? And it rolls on from there, and and by the way, like fighting is so scary.
So you mentioned something when you were over here last time, and this was off like cameras and stuff like that. It was interesting, but one of the most anxious you've ever been in your life is that moment, that point, walking out to a fight.
That first fight, right? So bear in mind, I've got, like I said, I have loyal family, right? So I'm fighting, first fight on top. And bear in mind, at this point, I've had hundreds of grappling matches, right? So I'm no like a newbie beginner who's never competed in combat. So I've competed in Taekwondo. I've had hundreds of grappling matches. In the grip house, at that point, you're sparring with people who are in the UFC. Like, our level was high already. And to be totally honest, at that point in my weight class in Scotland, I could have probably went out with just grappling and probably beat most people, right? Apart from the guys I'm training with, I could have beat most people. So I kind of, there wasn't a huge amount of pressure as such, right? So bear in mind, at this fight, my mum's there, my dad's there, my nana's there, my grandpa's there, my auntie's there, all my dad's friends are there, all my mates for college are there, a lot of my mates for college, people that I've worked with as a spark, my girlfriend at the time, right? And like everyone is there, right? So I'm like, it's not,
on the line.
Yeah, exactly, right? And what is more embarrassing, right, than losing a fight in front of your missus at the time, right? What could be more embarrassing?
I've heard that they call it an ick on TikTok these days.
Right.
Imagine getting leathered in front of your missus.
that's a straight dumping.
Right? Like I got in a fight years ago. It was actually me and Kieran Reid outside the garage in Glasgow. This boy who was like, I'm a rugby player, and just started being wide, and I was like, shut up, mate. And I ended up headering him, right, knocking him out. And he's like on the ground, unconscious. And like, normally the initial reaction of the lassie is, oh my God, my boyfriend. And then, but this lassie was like disgusted looking at him. She was like,
it's not a loyal relationship.
you know,
Right?
I've
no
the guy out, right? But so yeah, I'm standing, and it's at the Onyx in Linwood, and I was fighting for on top for a guy, Tam Collins and James Lake, two great guys. And you know, I'm standing, and the production value on top is excellent.
Yeah.
Like really good,
Yeah.
big, massive backstage bit and all that. And I'm standing, and my name's getting announced, and I'm just waiting to go. And you're ready at this point. You've sparred. Like, that's one of the things that our coach used to say, like, your fight is never going to be harder than a Friday night. Because a Friday night is when we used to spar, right? He's like, there's no fight that's harder than your Friday night. It's just the environment and the
done.
music and everything.
The hype.
And I was standing, and I just kept on looking to the side at the fire exit and going, I could just bolt, man. I just run at the fire exit.
Shine yourself.
And then I'd never need to go back to the gym. I can delete my Facebook, like never need to speak to anyone. And then as that thought's going, the curtain gets pulled and it's go, 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 go. And you're just walking, and that's it. And you just need
You're
to,
in the flow.
you just need to switch on.
Fight or flight
and
mode.
you're
It's right
in
there.
that's it. You're in the cage. You're feeling your back against the cage. You're like, all right, okay, fine. This is
We're here.
Back
How you
to
go.
your environment that
goes,
you know
yeah.
and all that sort of stuff.
and that was, and at that point you're just switched on.
Aye.
Can we take it back a wee bit? So, how is your relationship with your mum? Because obviously you said you
I
got
love my mum.
you've got a
love
sister,
my
and I
mum's
think like
amazing.
we've not got a fantastic relationship with your mum, and you spoke a
I've
lot
got a
about
good relationship with your mums.
You can fucking have it, mate.
you can, mate. Let's go. But obviously you said like your dad is super hard working. What do you think you've learned from your mum?
Do you know what's funny, right? I think on this podcast, I've went so hard in saying how great my dad is because I've spoken about my mum a lot on previous podcasts.
Right.
And I
That's
always
what I wanted
'cause
you to
people
bring out
ask,
both.
right? And then at the end, I'm like, fucking hell, my dad watches that, which he probably doesn't. I'm like,
So now you've totally
what
switched
is
it
my
opposite way.
dad? Does my dad think I don't fucking love him? Is it my dad knows I love him, right?
Your mum and dad are together still
Yeah,
after
yeah, of
how long
course
have you been
they are.
together since?
Since 9 months before I was born. Do you know what I mean?
I said
So-
the main Archies.
Yeah. So like the very end of 1995, the start of 1996.
Which is rare for people to people to stay
Yeah,
together.
never
for
married
long,
or anything like that, you
Mhm.
know. So just always been together. But my mum is just like so incredible. See, for example, just there, I've been down in London at a mastermind and all that, and had to organise the dog getting watched. Like my mum just went and lived in my house for 3 days.
Aye.
Then I came back to my house last night, and to be honest, like the past couple of months, I've had so much work on and personal stuff that I've been really inefficient with my time in the house, and my house was a mess, mate. Like, I mean, like I would just like, right, my bed sheets are changed, but I've got a pile of dirty washing and all that. Like,
Used to sound
I
very
hope my stepmom was listening.
yeah. So I was honestly struggling to stay on top of my house, and
Yeah.
you know, I had a cleaner previously and stopped using her, and it was just like I was just at a point where I was like, don't think about it, like just keep working and that's it, right? And my mum just didn't even say to me, she took 2 days off of work and I came back, my house was spotless.
Bless you.
She went and bought me cushions off a TikTok shop and all that, right? And like that is my mum.
Yeah.
Like
Aye.
see her character is just unbelievable.
So
Like, and I was so lucky because my mum didn't work whilst me and Saffron were at school and stuff. My dad just went out and smashed it. And, you know, my mum kept the house and kept us, and like me and my mum like disagree on stuff politically now and all that, right? Because I've grown up to now have my own opinions and different things, but my mum is just like she's such a huge motivator for me as mum, because it's so daft, right? Because I look at my dad and I'm like, you're fine, you can fucking provide for yourself. But I look at my mum and I'm like, it's my mum. Do you get what I mean? I feel like I need to look after her. And
A nurtured relationship.
yeah,
over
it's just
multiple years.
like she's just I can't. I would have to do a whole podcast on
just
my
her
mum.
alone.
Do you know what I mean?
So what
She's
is she?
incredible.
How, she must hate watching you fight. Then she must. No. Or was
No,
she,
because
like,
do you know what she trusts? She trusts my work ethic and my
Your ability.
preparation,
Awesome.
right? So maybe she's worried or she's nervous, but my mum has never said, don't fight. My mum has went, whatever you choose to do,
Do it right.
do it at the best possible level
Yeah.
and give 100%. Like, see my nana and my auntie, oh my God, shiting themselves, terrified, right? But my mum would just be like, that is what he has chosen to do.
got a lot of belief in you.
And do you know
then.
what's mad? And cunts go, oh, you're ripping it and all that. You see it more in boxing, people dying and stuff like that, right? But you're signing a bit of paper, whether you're fighting at an amateur level in front of 5 people or you're fighting in a stadium or whatever, you're signing a bit of paper that says, I'm wholly accepting that I am increasing my chance of death by thousands of % today. Like, is it likely that I'm going to die? No, probably not. Could I potentially get a completely life-changing injury? Yes. Could I get a debilitating injury? Most definitely. Nobody walks out any fight thinking like, oh, I feel absolutely
Amazing.
unless you just go out and clean someone out in 10 seconds, right? Like, it's there's such a unreasonable degree of risk in the training and the cutting of the weight and all that. Like you're destroying your body for ultimately fuck all, because you're not getting paid or anything.
I was
Do you know
going
what I
to
mean?
say, what do you think it is? Obviously, the guys, you're still into the fights and
I still
UFC
do
and all
some
that.
commentary.
Yeah.
I sponsor athletes and stuff. So
What do you think it is then for people? Do you think it's just there's this aspiration to get something more from life at that point?
There's 2 different main schools of thought, right? So, see, for me, I fought because I enjoyed it. Look at the current roster of UFC champions. How many are champions that started fighting because they enjoyed it? How many are champions because they grew up in a favela and their only option was to fight, or they would become a member of a fucking cartel? I understand cartels only in favelas because that's in Brazil, but you just get my point, right? Greatest featherweight of all time, Jose Aldo, right? He fought because he had no other choice. You look at that period where a Jim Nova Unal went through this period of Vanderlei Silva, Shogun, all these guys who fought because there was no choice. They fought because that was it, right? Even Sean Strickland now with one of the biggest upset in UFC history. Like, he grew up as like a mad crack baby, right? He's a fucking nutcase. But he fought because it was like, right, well, what else do I do? I loved being the man in the arena. And by the way, maybe that's why I love being on stage now. And I love speaking. And I love, because I was a showman. I loved that. You wouldn't have thought I was in the back thinking, fucking hell, starting to,
I'm gonna smash
my arse is making buttons, man, right? Because I would just be out and I would be having fun with it, dancing on my way out, smiling at the camera, waving at people, fucking just enjoying the experience. Because there's not many people can say they've done that. Even people who've had one fight, never mind a bunch of fights, not many people that can say they've done that. So I loved being the man in the arena. Loved attention, mate.
So we'll get on to the social media presence in a sec. So fast forward to your last fight, because that was the kind of wake up call, I think, to say, not a wake up call, but to, like, you're obviously very driven at this point in life. Don't know what it is you're going to do, but there's a spark there where your entrepreneurial journey is starting to maybe foster.
It's in the horizon. It's not kicked off. I'm not.
Wee bits of YouTube videos here and there, and the odd. With podcasts still a bit then?
Yeah.
I'm saying that as if it's fucking.
I think Joe Rogan's been about for about 20 years.
He's been about for fucking ages.
So, last fight happens. You ended up getting a serious injury with this one, yeah?
Yeah, I got, and just for clarity, I've given out much worse than I've ever received, thankfully.
Well, this isn't a exploit to bring you down, mate.
I know. I'm just saying. But so I was fighting a great guy, Ollie Southern, right? A real nice fella from Gym 01 down south. And on the face of it, and I say this with respect to Ollie because he fucking broke my arm, right? So I can say it and he can say that's wrong. But I was a clear-cut odds-on favourite, like by a country mile. I'd already won the Headhunters title, and this was for the on top title. So my last fight was who I had my first fight with,
right,
in the same venue and all that, right? But now this time I'm like co-main event as opposed to like second fight on the card or something.
A full circle then.
But one of the boys who was actually the main event just fought his first fight in the UFC the other day. He lost, but he fought one of my mates that night, but he was looking really good actually. So I'm like odds on favourite to win this. And when I look back at it, I don't think I trained a bit. Do you know what I remember? I'm an emotional person, right? And I make emotional decisions. I remember training and I'd broken my hand maybe 4 or 5 months previous, and I had a really persistent injury on my right foot. So if you watch some of my fights, you'll see that I'm wearing a pink anklet. And I used to say I just wore it as fashion. Underneath that anklet, I was taped, like really, really taped. So I was having to do all my sparring in wrestling boots, and I just, at this point, I fought 4 times in 1 year. In MMA, that's a lot, mate. That's a lot. And you're thinking the weight cuts and this and that up and down. It was so hard. And I remember, you know, my fight is on the Saturday, and this is not the Friday night before because you're rehydrating at that point. This is the Friday the week before. So 8 days prior, that's my last night of sparring. And I'm like, if you watch any of my fights, especially ones that I've got finishes in or I've won knockouts or whatever, like I'm someone who will get up and scream and love it, and you just get this rush of endorphins. And at the end of sparring, I would be that guy where I'd be like screaming and fucking loving it, and would just be like it's just a pure masculine thing. I remember finishing that last round of sparring. We're doing a thing called Shark Tank, which is like a 5-minute round, and every minute you're getting a fresh partner. Right. So by the 5th minute, I'm fucked, and I'm going with someone who has had that 5 minutes rest. And I remember lying down. I remember finishing the last round, the timer going off, and lying down on the floor and looking at the ceiling, and I just burst out crying.
Really?
I just burst out crying, mate. And I'm sitting there crying, and Dean, my coach at the time, came over and was just like, up, come on, let's go, up. And I'm up and I'm like, right, let's do it. And I don't know why that was. Don't know why that happened. I don't know why I felt like that. I don't feel like I wasn't upset. I think I was burnt, man. I was so burnt, right? And then you're maintaining some training over the next couple of days, hitting a bit of pads, but you're focused on your weight at that point. And I make weight and I'm feeling good and it is what it is. And, you know, having that last fight, I don't feel like I wasn't the man in the arena.
Aye.
I don't feel like I wasn't fully present. And by the way, we had some good exchanges, me and Ollie, man. Fucking that start of the second round, I had a real nice exchange. I fucking head kicked him, he stiffed me. I hit him to the body, hit him out right, and we kind of just fought in a phone box this wee 30 seconds and kind of went back out and just went in, and it was good. And it got to the end of the second round, and I would honestly, being a harsh critic, I would say that Ollie definitely won the first round. You could have made an argument that I won the second round, but I was preparing for the break to be told you need a finish here or you've lost, right? But we never got to the break because Ollie gets me in a triangle and I try and escape the triangle. He gets me in an armbar. And I don't know if you know this, but when there's 10 seconds left in a round of MMA, they have these like...
Aye, the snaps, aye.
Right? So I'm sitting almost in a real naked... It's my left arm he's got. And if you imagine I'm in an armbar here, but I'm real naked choke gripping my own arm so that he can't break that out to get the armbar. And I'm real naked choke gripping it, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm fine. But then he fully extends the arm. So I try and do a thing called a hitchhiker escape, which is basically rolling over your back, which puts you sometimes into an omoplata, but you can I can sit in an omoplata for a couple of seconds. And as I try and hitchhiker escape, my arm just breaks, right? And I screamed, and you can make an argument, but I was not going to argue it, that like, it was a verbal tap. Or you can there's no rules for verbal taps in MMA, it's the referee's discretion. And John Jameson refereed that fight, who I have great respect for. John's been in the MMA scene at EK MMA for many years, and I trust his officiating. And I screamed, and my arm went pop, pop. And then if you imagine getting a pair of jeans and ripping the denim, it went
all right.
Right? And I've just screamed. And as I've screamed, John stopped the fight. And then within 2 seconds, the timers went. Now, I was not going to be able to go out for a third round. I just would. My arm was limp. I completely tore the tendon between my bicep and this piece of my arm here, right? I fucked that tear was actually my rotator cuff.
Right.
Almost my arm was trapped and rolling over it. My arm stayed in position, my body went, right? So, and there's an incredible photo, mate, and it sums up MMA perfectly. I'll try and find it for you and maybe you can include it in the podcast, right? But I am lying down like this, face down on the cage with my arm fucked here, and Ollie's standing like that, right? And that is MMA, mate. That's MMA.
It doesn't matter.
And I'm lying there, and my whole family are there, and I was just sitting here, and I was like, I didn't move for 15, 20 seconds. I'm just thinking, what just happened, man? Like, I'm top 10 ranked in Europe. I'm a good fighter. What just happened? I remember standing up, right, and my arm being so sore, and them putting like a bandage on me as a sling.
Yeah.
And waiting for Ollie to get his hand raised, shaking hands with him, with Brian, his coach, and I remember leaving, and I'm a heavy kick thrower, throw a lot of kicks, not so much body kicks, but a lot of head kicks and leg kicks. For some reason, I threw 2 massive body kicks in this fight, and both times, Ollie's crunching here, and I volleyed his elbow.
That's the sorest.
Mate, I remember sitting down and going, oh my God, as soon as my adrenaline dump goes, my arm is going to be killing me.
Sure?
It was my feet. I broke both my feet.
Did you?
So I'm now sitting with ice on both my feet. I can't walk. My feet are like fucking balloons. My arm's slinged up. My arm's broken. My shoulder's fucked. Right? I've got maybe a wee bit of a shiner here, but nothing major. And I'm just sitting, and I was thinking to myself, what the fuck have I just done that for? I now can't work. And I know why I done it, because I fucking loved fighting at the point, right? So you're no thinking about it. But I'm sitting, I'm thinking, what the fuck have I done? Then you're in minor injuries and you're getting your fucking arm sorted and you're getting told, oh, by the way, you might end up needing a fucking shoulder surgery, which I've still never got. See, when I'm pressing here, this arm's like this. Try to get up there, it's clicking like fuck, it's
We'll help you that, mate. Don't you worry about that.
I need to. And I genuinely think I'm going to go and get an assessment and try and get a shoulder surgery like privately and just get it done. But like, I kind of knew. See, after that fight, I got healthy again. I'm training the next, this is December. So I'm training in like the March. I'm thinking to myself, I want a K1 fight. I want a pro full contact kickboxing fight. And then I was just like, why?
I was just about to say that. Why?
I actually don't. I want it because I'm a fighter. And I go and watch MMA shows now and all that, right? And I think to myself, like, imagine they said, anybody in the crowd fucking run about this fight? I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it, right?
You put yourself in the scenarios and that.
Like, but it's just...
I'm just going not doing that time for that picture, right?
No, it's all right. I'll
Yeah,
do it.
cool. But it's, I kind of knew after that I was never going to fight again.
See, during this time, are you exploring other things? Are you starting to consume content and all these different bits and bobs?
My dad's just fucking phoned me. It's funny that. Sorry, say that again.
Speak of the devil, eh? He's like, you talking about me on a podcast. When as you're getting into this fight, you said you weren't feeling it. Are you consuming any other content at this point? Do you think your head was elsewhere and you were starting to
My head was not elsewhere because I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Because I was thinking about money. I think there was if I could go back, I could give you a better answer. I just remember not being fully mentally present. Just being busy thinking about other stuff and just being burnt out. So I was probably thinking about stuff that's so insignificant. Oh, I'd love to play my PlayStation. I've cut weight 4 times this year. I'd love to have a nice meal. I'd love to go out for a nice dinner. I'd love to be able to afford a nice holiday. Yeah. Just stuff like that.
It's just consuming
frazzled.
Yeah.
It's frazzled.
Yeah. So people always talk about their losses being the biggest lessons. Was that probably one of the, was the much that you took away from that? Or was it just like, apart from, I'm not sure if this is the fight.
Fuck this MMA shit.
Taught me that I shouldn't have hitchhiker escaped. I probably should have tapped and left the fight the other day. But it is funny, right? Because what's his name? Maravilla, a famous boxer from South America. He was talking about how when he beat Manny Pacquiao, somebody, he got 2,000 different messages on his phone, and then he lost his next fight and he had 3 missed calls and 2 of them were his mum. Like, you actually do realise, and it's no like I was fighting in fucking stadiums or a world champion or getting paid loads of money like he was. But like, people actually do kind of lose interest in you. You know what I mean? Which is fine. It doesn't bother me. I actually, minus Kieran, because he's one of my best mates, and he now coaches Paul, and Paul's doing a lot of jiu-jitsu and stuff, so there's a connection there. I don't talk to anyone I used to train with.
No?
Interesting, how
like
it evolves.
A couple, like one of my mates, T, for example, he now lives in Cambodia, so that's why I don't talk to him. I never fell out with him, right? But don't talk to my coaches. If I bump into like Mark Connor, I'll talk to him. Bump into Guy, I'll talk to him. I don't talk to any of my coaches. Don't speak to any of my sparring partners. Because you're not of, I say it with respect, I'm not saying it's an idea, but I'm not of use to them anymore.
That's what I mean, your circle's changing.
I'm not in there.
Aye, they're still pure fighting mode, that's all.
I'm not helping them prep or whatever, you know. So it's, I wouldn't say I took away any big, mad lesson from that.
Yeah.
Nah. You learn your lessons in the gym in that sport often.
That's a fair point. So fast forward then, do your sparring and come out it. So when does it start popping off for you? When do you start getting a lot of traction? So you get to the end of your apprenticeship and you said you passed? Yeah, and then you were like, nah, this isn't what I want to do. What do you jump into at that point? What are you doing?
You're like everyone really, aren't you? You're looking at, you remember that you're financially motivated, right? So I could not give a single fuck
what it was, yeah.
What it was, right? And you try different things, you do different things, and you get shiny object syndrome, right? The thing that I seen that I was like, no, that this could be a business, not like a hustle or a turn, as we would say in Scotland. Oh, I've got a wee turn there. Something that was sustainable was property side of things. And like I was saying to you before we actually started the cameras, like, I've never said that I love property.
Yeah,
so
maybe
passionate about it. It's amazing. It's great. Like, I don't find it too interesting. I'm not super passionate. Well, I'm passionate about getting results for myself and for people, which is good. But the actual vehicle itself, I was never that passionate about. But I had at that problem, it wasn't a passion problem. It was a fucking income problem. Solve the passion thing later. So I think the point where my life was really changed, where I was like, okay, it's 2019. That's when I was like, all right, this is a bit mad. Because at that point, 2019, got an A45 AMG, which to me at that point was like fucking nuts.
The dream car.
I'm still staying at my mum and dad's house, but you know, I've bought like a Rolex. Went on some nice holidays for the first time. Got my mum and dad a holiday for Christmas that year, which is a tradition I've kept up ever since. So that was when I had that big first change in lifestyle and people starting to notice who I was. And
so you're building your social media presence of this, or was it a bit built from the fighting and that?
I had a few thousand followers already. Nothing in comparison to what I have now, but yeah, that's when I really started to get a bit more notoriety and stuff like that. And it's probably also the content you're producing as well. It's not just by proxy, you know.
So I want to talk about the content because you've got hearing you speak about this was one of the first events I ever went back to was a year ago, and how you polarise your audience, and I never heard that style before. Was that just something was that a strategy going into it, or did you just find that you were trying different things? You're like, oh, this actually works. I'm going to lean into this a wee bit.
It's kind of neither actually, because I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to test and measure what gets the most reactions. I was just being me now and then. I would put posts out that were informative and calls to action and stuff like that. When I look at my social media now, like look at my social media then sitting here now, I'm like, oh my God, how did that ever make a fucking shilling, right? But the posts that done the best were me just being me, as opposed to me being analytical and having a strategy and whatnot. So I think I just was like, oh, this is getting the most traction. You just start naturally producing more of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, interesting. So when I went to one of your first events, no my circle of friends, but people who know me, it's like, oh, what are you up to the weekend? So I'm going to this Jumpstart. And it's like, oh, who's running that? And I was like, Richard Dickson. Oh, he's a dickhead.
Of course.
He's a wank. He's a wank.
True, guys.
So perception online. I didn't know too much about you, and we spoke about this before when I came to the event. And the person I saw on stage was massively different. No different in the sense that like I just didn't. I had no expectations.
He's no an arsehole.
Yeah, pretty much. So what's are you shifting that message just now as you're approaching your social media, or are you still trying? Because you've not exactly changed who you are as a person, but I guess you're not getting caught up in the same.
So that's probably came a lot from TikTok. Those people thinking that, right? And I just don't enjoy using it now. I don't enjoy using it. I've got my account banned. Made another account, it's got like 20k followers. Haven't posted on it since I was in the Maldives. Then prior to that, I hadn't posted on it for months. So I just started to dislike that platform. Just.
Do you think it fed into your showman-ness, if that's a word? When you're in the ring, you're getting the attention from the people that's in there. Do you think you that's what kind of led you down that route a wee bit?
Yeah. Also affects your income positively. So when you're doing something that you can see is making a change to your income, you're going to keep doing it realistically, right? I kind of fell away from the TikTok platforms. I think I still get people coming to me, bro, I follow you on TikTok, love your stuff. And I'm like,
what you see?
Been a while.
I'm not sure what you're watching, but I wouldn't say that I'm strictly changing my message. I'm definitely providing more value of different things that I want to do. But I think at those points, because people go, oh, you just try to prove yourself and you're getting like the fishing rod emojis. No, it was never that.
Yeah.
I was never biting. I was clamping people. And in my opinion, that's what I was doing. People are like, oh, you're skint, you're this, you're that. I'm just like, I've not been fucking skint in years. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? It's just not fucking true. So I think maybe I'm not fully changing my message online. I'm making less content on TikTok, which was my more aggravating content that got people's backs up. And people will get their backs up at anything. I can post just a photo of a car and that'll get people's backs up. So yeah, I'm sure there's still people who are sitting like, fucking raging that I exist.
It's crazy that we've never met you, never
so
like
weird, mate.
They would put a judgment behind it.
And so many people like, and I put enough of my life out there on social media that I forget that people will meet me for the first time and they do know me.
Yeah.
I don't know them, but they do know, and they start saying shit and I'm like, how the fuck do you know? And then I'm like,
I've seen it.
Like I document my life almost in a way. But the amount of people that like have like stories about me that truly like believe what they're saying and that, I'm just like, you are a fucking absolute moron.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that just comes with the title of being wealthy, being rich, whatever it is? There's almost like, it's not, oh, he's done really well, wonder what it is he's done. It's like, oh, he's done such a... Drug dealer seems to be a common thing that anytime you see somebody who's made it, it's like, oh, they've done drugs. And we spoke about it in a podcast before, and I was like, I wonder why that is. I wonder why that's always something that it comes from.
3 words: blame, complain, justify, right? So you're a young guy sitting on the bus. Like I used to get to college or to go places and blah, blah, blah. One of your low cost forms of transport and the most glamorous way to get to places, right? But we've all done it, right? There. So you're sitting on the bus and you've got your earphones in and you're on the way to college, right? And you're 23, 24, you're maybe a little bit older than most people going to that course. You're trying to improve your life and get more qualifications. You're sitting in that bus and I pull up beside you in a McLaren with the roof down, and I've got a Rolex watch on, got my music on, I'm bopping about. Right, the first thing you do is you look at that person, not knowing them, you find a reason to blame them, right? So you go, oh, like I can't have that because of X, right? Then your next step is you internally or externally, if you're sitting with a friend, you're going to complain. Oh, but you've already blamed, so you've now protected yourself from any sense of responsibility, right? Oh, wish I had a car like that, fucking, and then you justify it with the blame you had earlier, but I can't because he's probably had money off his dad or something. So you now have allowed yourself to make peace with the fact that you're not achieving something that is within your realm of achievement, right? So 99.9% of the time is jealousy. Now, I'm not sitting here going, people are jealous of me, Richard Dickson. Yeah, people are jealous of what I have. They're jealous of their life, regardless of who has it. So instead of them going, actually, I'm going to have to put a bit of hard work here, and maybe they might not get the McLaren, but they might not have to get the bus anymore, right? Instead of doing that, it's easy to just go, oh, well, my pal told me that his dad's really rich and he's been given all this money and used to sell heroin or whatever.
I've heard some mad stories, like, is there something about an ice cream? Like your dad had, what was that?
There's a rumour that goes about that my dad was the founder of Fuel Smoothies.
Fucking
I don't think my dad's had a Fuel smoothie in his life.
What the fuck's our Fuel fucking smoothie?
Exactly, so weird. But yeah, that's what it is. It comes down to people, they actually ultimately don't want to achieve anything. It's easier to point and say, he has this because of X, Y, and Z.
What do you think goes in there? Because equally, that could have been you on the bus and you see the McLaren that pulls up. Now, it sounds like your frame of mind, no matter what age you were in the frame of mind like,
how do you get that?
How do you get that? I'm gonna need to do. I'll do whatever it takes. I want that lifestyle. What do you think makes up the mindset of those two individuals?
Parenting.
I think it's a big one.
Yeah, parenting.
So that's kind of why I asked about your mum and that earlier.
Obviously, there was negativity around money in our house, but it wasn't taught to us. Mum and dad would be arguing, screaming at each other, and it's obviously came from money.
Yeah.
So you have that negative connotations, but my mum was never so much like, oh, we'll never be successful, fucking type of stuff, right? Maybe they thought it, but if they did, they kept it to themselves. They didn't pollute us with that. But like, I was driving down the street the other week and a guy in like a van, and it was the turn at George Square coming off Queen Street. It used to be 2 lanes, but now it's kind of one. A guy pulled up beside me in a van, was kid in the van, maybe 11 or 12, he put the van window down, and I'd blasted it down Queen Street, right? And he says, does it make you feel good driving your dad's motor? And I said to his son, does it make you feel good sitting in your dad's van? And he just kind of looked at me and was like, And I goes, what kind of parenting's that, mate?
Aye.
I says, I'm a young guy driving a supercar.
Yeah.
You've got a young boy in there. I says, would you not love for your young guy to have a car like this in a couple of years? I says, but you're coming and saying it's my dad's car. I says, my dad's like you. My dad's a working man. You know what I mean? Like, why are you saying some stupid shit like, shut up, you wee fucking prick. You're fucking lucky I'm not getting out and do it. And I'm like, fucking get out of me, I'll punch you about, you fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not beyond getting out the car and fighting with people. I'm not like, oh, I'm a respectable businessman, I'll keep driving. Like, if you're going to bounce out, sound, cool, I'll still fight you, right? I'm fine with that. But it's just like, you get shit like that all the time. You just be driving in your car, rental, and it's like a parent with a Wayne. I'm like, what are you teaching that child? You fucking do nothing piece of shit, man.
Which
it's scummy, mate.
That kind of leads nicely on to your whole Yes Academy venture, the next part. So property, I think most people, if they had to kind of look you up, that's kind of where that was your vehicle of financial freedom. Financial success, or whatever,
call it what
you want to call it. So then you move on to, I guess, this next chapter, which this is where you're at with your life just now, or is it? Do you think you're coming out the back end of that now?
No, definitely not coming out the back end of it. I would call it my journey as a coach. Coach. I don't know what I'd call it, but there's growth getters. There's going to be other things in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, educating, coaching, consulting. Yeah, I guess that's what you would call it.
So seeing the comments from parents out in the street, like, oh, like rental or whatever it is that you're doing. Is that the motivator behind that? It's like, I want to actually have a platform.
Yeah, do you know what? I always thought to myself, it would be cool if someone done something, because business studies is shite, let's face it, right? For kids that actually want to be entrepreneurs and not business development managers or whatever the fuck they get taught in business studies. It'd be cool if someone done that. And I just always thought that. I just thought to myself, I've got enough money, knowledge, because I was for years, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do any courses, not going to do any training. I'm just not doing it. I even made a video back on my YouTube channel about it, like, stop asking me to do it, I'm not going to do it. But it got to the point where so many people were asking for it that I was just like, why am I not providing this? Because there's some shite courses out there and some shite people running the courses. That's one of the things that I love that can give me confidence, was that before I'd done any form of education, and when I say done, I mean provided it, because obviously I've paid for different courses throughout my life, right? But the thing that I can sit back and go, say what you want about me, I was a certified baller before I was doing courses. I was supercars, holidays, fucking blah, blah, blah. There's so many young people, older people now, that I'm just like, they go to a course and then 2 weeks later they've got their own version of it.
I was about to ask, what do you think about people who are faking it till they make it?
Part of you has to respect them in a way, right? Part of you has to
respect entrepreneurs. I think you kind of need to.
Part of you need to go, right, I see what you're doing, fair enough. But also, like, you can stretch stuff or you can lie, right? So you can, for example, I'm trying to think of a way. Let's say you introduce, someone who sees a £1 million house on an estate agency website, right? And your mate wants to buy that and you happen to know the estate agent. You say, guys, I'll set you up for a coffee. Set them up for a coffee. Not with any business or income thing in mind. You set them up for a coffee. That guy buys that house. Hey guys, it's such and such here. I've been involved in over £1 million worth of, well, you have been involved because you set the coffee up.
So it's no lie.
Right?
It was the coffee shop.
But you work in fucking Tesco Extra.
The barista.
Do you get what I'm saying? So, and nothing wrong with working in Tesco. If you work in Tesco, crack on. Like that's totally fine. And you might have aspirations to do other things and that's cool. But that's stretching it. Wildly stretching it. But then just straight up lying is where I draw the line. So if you're stretching it, I'm cognitively aware enough that I can look and go, I know exactly what you're doing. I'm not going to support that person or like their posts or share their shit or invite them to a mastermind or whatever. I'm going to be like, you're a donkey, but I get what you're doing. But when it's like barefaced lies, I've done this and I've done that and here's my experience, and like, I understand that not everyone wants to have the nice car. Not everyone wants to go on the mad holidays and stuff like that. But I'm at a point now where I've got a bit of a sense that I can look at someone and I can, when they start talking to you, I can kind of be like, oh, that sounds legit. Or I can be like, you're just full of shit.
So see, why I asked that is obviously because people are seeing you and they're like, they blame, complain and justify.
Yeah.
But then they'll be seeing these people and they'll be doing the same. But they're like, is this true? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people doing it these days and you're like, well, if he's lying, is he lying? And then they'll be like, I'm going to buy his course, I'm going to buy his course. How detrimental to the industry do you think it is?
What, the people who are like talking shite?
Talking shite, aye.
Well, this is the reason why. And I would like to think, I won't put you on the spot, but I can lean upon Dale slightly, having been inside my academy for over a year and stuff, right? Like, pick me. I'm not going to name. I probably don't know half the people that are doing courses in Scotland, right? I've probably never seen them.
Aye.
But there are people I know who run courses or mentorship groups or whatever you want to call them, super low cost. And I think yes, it's super low cost as well for what it is, but super low cost. Find me someone who in that group has made 100 grand. Can't run in, it's not even made 100 grand.
That's it. Aye.
Do you get what I mean?
Aye.
Like you cannot. It's very rare for a coach to take someone beyond where they've been themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So you are probably the strongest person. That there might be one or two people that are as strong as you that you coach, right? The same way that like it's very rare that like football managers haven't played professionally or whatever. Do you get what I mean? It's really rare. So like I think, don't judge me. Everyone has mixed opinions on me and that's fine. You might think I'm a wanker and in what you've seen of me, that might be true. Me and you could go to the same restaurant, order the same meal. Mine's comes out, I think it's delicious. Yours, they fucked up slightly. I leave a review saying the restaurant's amazing. You leave a review saying it's shite. We're both correct. Right? We're both correct. So there are people that might go, Richard's a wanker. Maybe I was a wanker to them. Maybe they said something to me that was a genuine question. I took it the wrong way and I went, shut the fuck up. I'm not going to answer you. Maybe that's true, right? And I'm open to that. I'm not perfect. But maybe people hate the fact I have a nice car and this and that and blah, 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 blah. But all that stuff, that's my social proof, right?
Yeah.
You can't fake that stuff. Oh, so I'm fine. It's blah, blah, blah. Mate, I need to make like, and I'm not saying this is in like, oh, it's stressful every month because it's easy for me, right? But before I can spend a penny on it, this is before I even put fuel in the cars, right? Before I can spend a single penny on anything, buy food, blah, blah, I'm about 8 grand a month. That's not my business expenses. My business expenses are probably close to £250,000 a year, which in comparison to other people is nothing. It's good because I built a virtual team with Jeff and stuff like that. So I've got 7 staff in the Philippines and then only a couple in Scotland. So my staffing costs are down. But imagine your life from business and that. You need to make a kick in the arse of 400 grand a year before you buy or sell a meal deal. I can't fake that, mate. I can't, like, you can't, like, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? So that's my social proof, my evidence. I have to keep it up, right? But then when I say don't judge me, I purely went on a heavy tangent there. Right? When I say don't judge me, it's like, you can have your opinion on me, right? But go and look at the students. Go and look at some of the things they've done, right? Look at some of the stuff that's came off the back of these different trainings, these different events. That's what you should judge me on, right? Because that is the value of the product. I think the product's valuable, obviously, because I fucking made it.
You're
right?
You're going to be biased.
But you look at the results of the people. That's what makes the biggest difference. So when you look at maybe other people who are running other education courses, online academies, live trainings, one-to-one mentorship, consultancy, whatever it may be, pause on them for a second, even if they are an absolute fucking helmet, right? Pause on them for a second and look at their students. What have they done? Whose life has been changed? Whose life has truly been impacted? Who's done something? I mean, I get stopped in the street by people who have never even done a training with me, right? That have been on YouTube and watched stuff or whatever it may be, and they'll come up to me and be like, mate, because I seen you do this thing and you spoke about this, I went and said this and my whole life's changed. Might not even be entrepreneurship. Might not even be anything like that. Might be within their job or whatever. But they come up to you and say, you made an impact on me. Like,
done your job.
Exactly, right? I've done the thing I set out to do. And I think with other people, and maybe it might be that they've just not been in the game as long, you need to build up your repertoire and stuff, but the results just aren't there because they've not got the results for themselves.
Yeah. We were talking about this the other day, like to educate people, or to, even if you take coaching, for example, like the broad spectrum, there is an experience part that plays, and there's a big difference between people who have the experience, people who don't. But in a way, the steps, more or less, like whether I'm trying to get someone in shape or James trying to get someone in shape or somebody that's just became a new PT tries to get someone in shape, the steps are more or less the same and they can be played with.
Yeah.
And it is easier to educate and train someone to do that than do it yourself. And I think that's got a part to play in why you see all these little camps of people going
You know the other thing as well is people think that making money from an educational business is really easy. So people go, oh, like you see it in people's comments, that person just sells courses, as if like you just make like a program and hundreds of people just come and buy it. And
PT, they get that for an hour, and you're like, well, you actually need to get the clients who want to come in, and then you need to get results, and you need to keep
There's more
coming.
that
and
goes into it.
So I think these types of people get really stuck in thinking, oh, this is my ticket to making that 100 grand. And then like there are some people that smash it. You see their lives before, it was shite. They start a course, next thing they've got a Lamborghini or a Range Rover or whatever. So you can look at it, the timeline adds up, you go, I can see where you got that from. That makes complete sense. Yeah. Right. So, and my most successful educational venture has been the Yes Academy. I bought my McLaren weeks before the Yes Academy even launched. Like, and then I had my AMG GT before that, and my S Class, and my i8, and my fucking spending months abroad, and all that stuff. I had all that stuff prior, and I would still have it now, even if I didn't have this. I'm lucky because I'm passionate about doing this, where I wasn't passionate about the property.
We spoke about before you come on.
Exactly. So I think these people will look at it and go, that's great. And every person that launches a course or whatever is going to get an initial little blast. You've probably found it with maybe your podcast, right? You put your first episode up and it's something new and fresh and you go, fucking hell, we got more views than we expected. Right? And then the views teeter off.
How many people show up?
Exactly. And the views teeter off. And then it's the hustle of, right, okay.
This is the real world.
Exactly. So these people will maybe go and launch a wee course and they always price it way too low and offer way too much. I'm going to be your one-to-one mentor for £40 a month. And then next thing they've got fucking 100 people phoning them, messaging them, and they're making fucking £4,000 a month or whatever, right? So they get this little burst and they think, fucking hell, yes. And 2 weeks later, it dies.
Right, because people are shite.
And then they're like, fuck. Like, that's why, see 95+% of courses, educational businesses, less than 1 year, they'll last.
Yeah.
Less than 1 year.
Same with PTs.
Time will tell.
They just will not go, mate.
See, just pivoting a wee sec on the course stuff. So when you look at someone as big as Alex Hormozy and stuff like that, he's obviously giving out all the free content and all of that sort of stuff. How does that, well, I think I know the answer to this because very, very similar. You spoke about this before, watching Grant Cardone and you're like, cool. This guy's in his 60s. He's in America. It's got nothing to do with me in Scotland, which is why you've seen Paul McFadden and you kind of went to him. Do you see any challenges or barriers with someone doing something like that? Because it kind of comes into the whole idea of, I think he even says it in his book that the goal is for you never to pay for an arm mastermind and that sort of thing. So what's your thoughts on that out of curiosity?
It's never going to change it. Like Alex Hormozy is so well known on YouTube. How many fucking subscribers he got? Like maybe 2 million or something?
A million followers on Instagram anyway.
Million followers on Instagram, right? See, in the grand scheme of the world, that's nothing.
Aye.
Nobody knows who Alex Hormozy is. Even less people know who Richard Dickson is, but seeing the wider world.
Yeah. I don't know.
We all know him because we're entrepreneurs. I love his content. His books are amazing. Everything's great. But you know what the problem is, right? See, as soon as you give something away for free, people are just not going to use it. Like I still buy wee programs here and there, right? And I bought a program that was on sale a couple of months ago for like $97. And I only went through it like last week and it's probably one of the best mini programs I've ever went through. And if I had paid £5,000 for that, I wouldn't have. I would say that's still a good price for what I got, and I'd have went through it as soon as I bought it. But because I paid $97, I waited months, mate, months. Like it's just whatever. So see this stuff, and it's information overload as well. The whole making your bonuses better than the offer, and there's so much stuff that people can't get through. And I see it with some of the guys in America that sell different programs, and they give them so much stuff. And it's a 1 year membership that the person almost is forced to renew the next year because Like,
He's not got through everything yet.
exactly, right? So it's not really something we do because we give people access to everything as soon as they join, right? Which maybe is a bad business move, but that's just what I like doing. It gives people autonomy of how they want to navigate that thing. But see if Alex Hormozi I watched the live. Did you watch the live of him launching it, right? I watched it. If he had charged $997 for that, would have maybe got 10% of the people that he did get downloading it on board, guarantee you the results would be better.
That's it.
Because they're priced in. There'll be people that went, yes, Alex Hormozi's launched this thing, blah, blah, blah. I bet they still buy programs. I bet they do. And I bet they chip away at the Alex Hormozi stuff, but they're not as priced into it. Imagine how many times have you offered someone who you care about or a family member or your missus, pal, or whatever, I'll PT you for free because I know you've got this company. They just don't show up. And also you don't really fucking want to do that.
That's why I wanted to ask you on this, because just because you get it for free doesn't mean you're going to take action on it.
Yeah.
And it probably makes that is a very, very good perspective actually when you think about it, because there was how many people on that live for the live launch?
It's like fucking 30,000 or something.
I end up
30K,
there was a lot of people that showed up live, but then, like you said, there's a big percent of them ready to take action on that, and a lot of people got all that free material, the books, that. But how many people's actually finished that to date? And that was
people think like people see maybe like Hormozi, and I'll say it again, who I love his content. I think he's great, right? But these people who are like anti-education see him as like the Lord and Savior of the world, right? When they're forgetting exactly what it does at acquisition.com. It's like a done for you one-to-one mentorship program. We get equity in your business and we come in and we do this. He's just doing it at a much bigger level, which I think is really exciting and impressive that kind of service exists. And he's not cheap to book for speaking, because I fucking got the contract from his team for the Financial Freedom Summit. I know exactly how much he costs. I know his terms. I've got the fucking document, right? Just his speaking fee is $100,000. Plus you need to fly him here first class and food nuts. You're probably $120,000 plus, which I think is kind of nice in a way, this little stipulation. But also I was like, I don't care enough about his missus, and I say that with respect. I've never watched it. I don't really know anything about her. But it's like, if you book me, you need to book my missus at 50K as well. So you must book her. It's not an option. You need to pay and book her.
That's
which I guess
right there,
it's nice for him, right? Because I know he talks about her being there and fucking
I threw it off
like him fucking shut up and her always being there, something that 99% of guys will never fucking have in their lives, right? So I look at that and I go, I respect that, but I'm also like, I'm not paying $50,000 for that. Do you know what I mean? So like I seen it, and like I found it was interesting for me seeing that people act as if like he just sits and offers out all this free value all the time. Go to him and ask him, like, fucking mentor you one-to-one for free, see what happens. Do you know what I mean? It just won't happen. So he's given that base level of education. It's such a great play, mate. He's given this base level of education to thousands of people, so that the couple of people in there who really respect him for doing that, who are sitting on a fucking unicorn, go, actually, I'm going to reach out to Hormozi because he's a great guy and I love him and he's on brand for me. The next thing, Hormozi's got fucking 35% of their business to take it to a big exit. And by the way, I'm sure the value is there, and they'll get a bigger exit than what they would have on their own, or else people will be talking about how it's shite, right? But he's shepherding them like the same way someone might do a lead magnet. They might go, here's a free downloadable ebook, and then they get offered, a space in a 997 coaching program. Hormozi's lead magnet is these massive programs to then not sell the 997 program, to get the fucking half your fucking business program and change your life and make him a fuck ton of money in the process as well. And then continue building his brand so he can go and do these $100,000 speaker gigs with his missus as a boat on for $150,000. And then you need to bring them all over here, so it's actually $200,000. Do you get my point? So
it's actually a really, really interesting perspective.
It's mad.
Because I was thinking that when these sort of stuff coming out, I was like, wonder how the players...
That excites me.
It
doesn't bother me.
You'd be a great person to ask.
Like, and I am yet to have the objection of, but I can get Alex Hormozi's thing for free. Because it's the difference between knowing and understanding, right? That I always talk about. I know how to get a six-pack. I know how to be shredded. I don't understand it because I've never done it. I don't understand the feeling. I know it, but it's wasted knowledge. I'm sitting here, no jack.
So we try and say, it's a controversial topic. Should PTs be in shape? And
yes. Yes.
I knew you were going to say that.
Should singers be able to hold a tune? Should chefs make good food?
Aye, no,
Should
I know,
a police officer be trained in his job? Should a doctor go to university? Should a brain surgeon be experienced? Should a coach showing someone how to make 100k a year have made 100k a year?
So what was it you said? A coach can't take anybody further than...
It's not that they can't take them any further. That's not what I mean.
It's not.
All I'm saying is it's very rare
Yeah.
that someone can coach someone something that they have never done.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
I agree.
someone could be a bodybuilder who wins something at PCA and end up really loving coaching and take that guy to an Olympia.
Yeah,
he was a competitive bodybuilder nonetheless. Do you get what I'm saying? He's been through it, done a bit of prep, and he knows what it's like. So you can't... If you don't do that part, it's bullshit. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, PTs need to be in shape. I wouldn't go to a fucking barber with a shite haircut. I wouldn't go to a PT. I wouldn't go to a PT who's not in shape.
Yeah.
Right.
So I look at them and I go, well, what are you going to do for
That's
me?
the experience side of things as well.
It's respect.
It's a lack of discipline and all that. It's just I just don't like it. So the point I'm making there is on the knowing and understanding is that like people will know stuff, but so they'll say like, oh, I'm not doing that program because I've got Alex Hormozi's $100 million leads full program. And okay, when did you get it? Oh, I got it 6 months ago. Cool. How much money are you making in your business now? Oh, well, I've not really started on it because I'm still at working on it. All right, so you've done fuck all.
Yeah.
And your life has not changed in any way. But because you know that it's there, oh, cool. Well, maybe you should, instead of knowing, have your results tell me that you know that thing. Because right now, you look like every other fucking dick who is achieving fuck all and bumping their gums about, oh, I've got this and I've got that. Well, you fucking clearly don't.
What would you say to people that's kind of in that mindset, that frame of mind that's stuck, that just think, because it can be overwhelmed of information, or they're maybe struggling to overcome that they can make it. So you're in that space, you're trying to educate people and drive them down that journey of, look, you can. You said something interesting last time. You believe that every single person can be taught, and talent in a way doesn't matter in a sense.
Yeah,
I think everyone's got the skills.
entrepreneurship is learned. Some people have naturally more like predisposed skills and stuff that they can use that streamlines their process. But like you can also get people who are like super unathletic, might take longer, but they can become really good athletes, right? So I'm not really a believer in talent. It's all to do with your environment. That's how people end up being branded as talented, right? So I'm not a believer in talent, that people just, no one is born being good at anything. It's just not a fucking thing. We're all born jobbing ourselves and crying in that. Like, nobody could look at you and go, oh, superstar athlete. It's just not a thing, right? So for me, if you are someone sitting there thinking, oh, I can't do this thing, and like, firstly, you're your own worst enemy, right? You're an echo chamber of misery, unfortunately, that you are continually affirming the fact that you can't do something. So first off, you need to take a good hard look at yourself, right? And understand the concept of extreme ownership. Everything you have or don't have in your life is because of decisions you've made.
Yeah.
Oh, but Richard, my upbringing was hard and my this and my that. I hear you. I understand you. What I also could do is go out and spend 10 minutes finding 10 people who've had it 10 times worse and done 10 times better. Right? So I feel for you. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
Why are you letting that define the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Because realistically, it's a wasted life. That's what you've got now, is a wasted life. A life without testing your potential is wasted. That's not me saying you should go and jump off the fucking Erskine Bridge, but it's a waste of a good life.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
why dwell on it?
You might have been through all these things or you might not have, right? Like, you might be super traumatized or not, but you right now sitting here, whether it's you two guys right now thinking in your head, oh fuck yeah, I should be at a fucking, I don't know anything about lifting weights, but I should be doing this PB, or in fact, if I'd taken my
head for sure,
if I'd taken my coaching business like a bit more seriously, my income would be higher, and I would have been able to get that car reviewed at Arnold Clark last week, or whatever it is that's going through all of our heads, and I've got ownership that I need to take as well.
Yeah.
I'm not, that this isn't I'm immutable and the world is mutable, right? We've all got this. I'm sitting and going, fuck, if I hadn't have done this or that and blah, 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 here's where I would be. Right? So many people are living these lives of sedation. Oh, I've got this other thing to focus on. I've got my golf to go to and a bit of TikTok and blah, blah, blah. And one day, bang, you're going to be staring at the fucking four walls in your hospital, thinking to myself, oh, fucking hell, where'd that life go? What did I do that I was proud of, right? And you're going to have people that love you, hopefully, People that care about you, right? But are you going to be able to say you loved yourself? You loved that journey you went on? This isn't just about making money, it's about purpose.
Yeah.
Like, see my grandpa, for example. He had a good salary eventually as a firefighter and all that kind of stuff, in a nice house, but he done something that he loved, right? Saving lives. Like, actually saving lives. So my grandpa, when he passes, he can pat himself on the back and be like,
I done it.
I done it. Right? So if you're sitting there now too busy fucking crying about what other people have and fucking like denying your own limitless potential as a human being, then more fool you. I pity you, actually. That's me being honest. I feel pity for you. And I think that so many of us see us as just this small part of the world, right? And yes, there's billions of people on Earth just now. They estimate that there's been about 10.5 billion people lived ever. And realistically, there's only a handful that people still talk about, right? So yet nobody is going to remember me. Nobody's going to, maybe I'll do enough in my life that I get a stand at St Mirren Park named after me for a few years until someone more important dies and blah, blah, blah. But I get to pass being happy with myself. And I get to pass knowing that I was able to say yes to my kids, right? Imagine this, right? These people like, I don't want to post on social media and I don't want to have a business because I'm scared of judgment and I don't want to do these things. Imagine this. Imagine you're sitting there in the house reading your paper or doing your Kindle, your iPad, and your kid comes up to you and goes, Dad, the PlayStation 8 just came out and it looks amazing and all my pals at school have got it. Christmas is coming up soon. Can I have a PlayStation 8? Oh, sorry Dale Jr., sorry James Jr. Dad was too scared of the opinions of people on the internet who he was never going to meet and who were never going to make a difference to their income. So now your quality of life has directly been affected by that. I hope you understand, son. Really? Like either are you two prepared to be that person? Because I'm not.
No.
Right? Phone call from someone in your family. Oh my God, your younger cousin's in Thailand. She's had a medical emergency. She's going to have to get flown to America. It's 150 grand. What do we do? Oh, make a GoFundMe and make sure that my cousin's life hangs in the balance of the kindness of random people, which often does come through, and the kindness of other people is a beautiful, amazing thing. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to let that happen. So you sitting there going, oh, I don't believe myself. Stop being so fucking selfish. You're a fucking selfish bastard. That is all you are, is a selfish bastard. Oh, I don't believe in myself and people say stuff about me on the internet and blah, blah. Right, cool. That's fine. Allow your kids to not have fucking new school shoes, new fucking PlayStation. Fucking, you can't do things for people in your life that you want to have done. That's fine. If you're so fucking selfish, you fucking slimy, useless cunt, go and fuck yourself and die in a hole. I fucking hate you, you piece of fucking shit.
It's deeply rooted into you then. Aye,
but it's the fucking, it's the most selfish thing ever. It's so selfish. Like, success actually can be a burden. I feel burdened by my desire to continue being successful. I feel so heavily burdened by it because I need to do it. Because nobody's going to retire. My mum and dad don't have fucking pensions, don't have anything. It's me. I'm the only one. That's it. If my kids want to have an amazing life, it's me.
You're taking responsibility for the whole thing.
Do you know what I mean? It's fucking me. No one else is going to do it for me. Right? That's it. I need to go and do it. And these people are sitting there, oh, it's hard and fucking, it's so is having a job the whole life and reporting to your boss and being told, oh, you need to do this, you didn't hit that KPI and shit. It is going to be hard. It is going to be hard. But choose your fucking hard. Yeah. Choose your difficulty. There's a reason why when you're fucking playing GTA, you do the infinite money glitch and the fucking, you send the cunt into the barber shop and he comes out built like this. It's because you want to be a fucking solid, balling, fast car driving, money having, fucking jet boarding person. That is what you want. Nobody goes, oh, I'm going to choose a fucking skinny dweeb who fucking walks about the street as an NPC like this. Nobody wants to be that.
Yeah, so it's a great comparison, mate. A great comparison.
Everybody wants to be the man, Dale. Everybody wants it. They want to be the man.
I love
the passion.
It's just whether or not you're willing to fucking cut that pound of flesh off to do the fucking thing, which might not be. Some people just aren't cut out for it, mate. Some people just won't be. And now that I've said that, the people who are the blaming complainers justify, Richard said I'm not cut out, so that's me. I'm in that fucking thing. Whatever, you bitch.
Yeah. Fair point.
Man.
One thing to finish on. Are you okay for time here?
I'm actually not, but I've priced myself in so much that I'm going to have to stay, so it's fine.
No, it's all right.
I'm joking. Well, I'm not joking. I was meant to be back at my house at 1:45 and it's now 12:02.
We'll finish on this point, which I guess, what is next for you then? So you've got the fuel and the fire that's kind of coming out. You can see why you want
Apart
to...
from smashing people who...
Stop in the street.
What's you got all these aspirations or no aspirations, responsibility that you put on yourself of, it's going to be me that retires my mum and dad, it's going to be me that does X, Y and Z. What else is fueling that then, and what's next? So you've got the Yes Academy, just launched something recently as well with the Growth Getters.
Yeah. I mean, I'm motivated in so many different ways, some of which being how I can change other people's lives, right? And that to me is just so crazy. It's such a mad feeling, right? Seeing people do crazy shit because you've helped them. And I believe that those people that find success through working with myself or any of the businesses that I own, they were always going to be successful anyway, because you need to have a certain frame of mind to do that. We just expedited the process, right? So we can't take all that credit. And we also can't do the work for people either. But, my priorities have changed so much in the past 12 months, to be honest. I'm still so set on the fact that I'm going to have kids at some point. I just don't know when or how that's going to happen or but I know that is going to be part of my life, whether it's in 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
I think you see that from your dad and your grandpa as well. Like you're seeing like that's the kind of man I want to
be able to, provide something excellent for my family.
Yeah.
Family that I've got now and potentially the future family as well. I want to continue allowing young kids or anyone who feels like they don't have much to understand actually I can do something in my life. Whether that makes them a fucking scientist or apply for a good job or it makes them an entrepreneur, great. That's a big thing for me is seeing that. Can you repeat the question again? I went in a wee... So
just saying, like, what was fueling your drive going forward? Like, what is the big things that you're coming up to do?
That's kind of it for me mostly. I want to spend a little bit of time abroad. I'm swapping out my cars just now, so getting rid of my 2 cars now, getting another car, and I'm planning to probably just pack up for a little bit,
change the environment,
take the Eurotunnel, going to Europe for a little bit. Maybe Croatia or something like that. I'm really not sure. I don't have anything in place. These are things that I'm thinking about doing, just to see more of the world, see widen my horizons. I travel a lot anyway, but that'll be really cool for me getting to do that.
Like putting roots down in different places.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly. Want to continue increasing my what I do charitably as well. And over the last year and a half, I've had like a real incredible spiritual journey, to be totally honest. And I feel like I want to do not a mission in the sense that like a Jehovah's Witness turns up at your front door and tries to get
Richard Dickson.
But I would love to maybe do something alongside a charity like Christian Aid or something like that, and go somewhere in the world and spend some time with no phone, no shoes, whatever, and do something with a bit more spiritual purpose. I feel like that's something that's important to me now.
Do you think you get to that point mentally, like from a mindset point of view, because you had a very strong mindset from a young age, kind of talking through your journey, and as at each point, you're like you said, you're from having success, you're always wanting more. And do you think you get to that point where it's almost like a complete disconnect, so it's back at the start, kind of resetting that journey in a way? No? Nah. I'm a fucking certified bag chaser, mate. Like it's never going to get to a point where it's like, maybe we'll get to a point where it's not about the money. So I'm not saying like I can afford to go and do those things, right? But I'm also not going to retire and
sell all my stuff and become a nomadic charity worker,
No, of
right?
course.
Being realistic. So yeah, I'm still extremely financially motivated by success, but that's what would allow me to go and do those kind of things. The more money you have, the bigger difference you can make to causes that matter to you. Fact.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Aye. So look, we'll end on that point there.
So you can actually get him.
I know. No,
I've been
pleasure.
here
No,
piss
I
as
know.
well.
Aye, same.
Thank you for coming on the show. And
Appreciate it, mate, Joy.
Incredible journey and excited to see what you do in the future as well.
Thank you for having me, boys.
Look forward to it.
Appreciate
Look
it.
forward to it.